I'm particularly interested in the relationship he had with his crew, in particular, Mr. Alcott, his DP for those terrific films. What was that collaboration like as you observed it?
Well, John Alcott was a very he was around the set on Stanley's films. He was a quietly spoken man. I mean, he really was. I never saw him get mad once or lose his temper or lose his marbles, as we say in England.
Mm-hmm.
Not once. Whether that was just because he was working with Stanley, I don't know, because I never experienced him on another production. But what I can say about observing him with Stanley was that Stanley had a deep respect for his intellect. Is the wrong word because it makes it sound like it's a real mental process, although John would work out those mental processes. Lighting has a lot to do with calculation, of course it does, in all its forms, and Stanley had a lot of respect for that, and he had a lot of respect for the fact that John was very even-tempered and calm when we were setting up, and sometimes we'd get as far as starting to shoot a scene after maybe a day or 2 days of lighting tests and rigging and God knows what, and Stanley would just say, this doesn't look right, and start again from scratch. And John, there wasn't a flicker of anything across his face. It was just, okay, then we're starting again. And it was John also who came up with this design for what Arriflex produced, which was a tube that you could fit any lens to the end of. So instead of those little stubby viewfinders that a lot of directors used to use and still do, I guess, Stanley had a tube that he could attach any lens to, and that's how he looked around to find his first shot in any scene,
Yeah.
And it was John who came up with that idea and designed it, and Arriflex produced it, specifically for Stanley. So John had a deep understanding of what he was there for and what he was doing. So I never heard even a sort of partially angry word of dissent or disagreement between them. It would always be a discussion, or Stanley would say, well, jack up, those wall lights, and even if the light meter said 5.6, Stanley would say, no, we'll put them up more because I don't believe it. And John would say, okay, that's what he wants. That's what we'll do. He never said, well, no, light meter says this, and we should do it like that. He was very fluid and open, and a really nice man, very nice man.